The one thing in the sequel trilogy that every Star Wars fan unanimously agrees upon is that Finn was wasted. The Force Awakens set up a bold and unique storyline about a rebellious stormtrooper who awakened in the Force and allowed himself to be set free from a brainwashing evil regime. And people will try to deny it, but The Force Awakens made things very clear when it came to Finn and what makes him so unique. The journey started when he awakened, and right after, Kylo Ren is seen sensing something within him.
There's been an awakening. Have you felt it?
This is not just talking about Rey, it's talking about Finn too. Here is Mary Ann, who is J.J. Abrams' editor, who edited The Force Awakens and The Rise of Skywalker, confirming that Finn was not a red herring in marketing like a lot of people claim, or was made just to bring us shock when Rey gets the lightsaber, but that he too is also special.
We don't know that Finn isn't a Jedi. Do you know that he's not? So, yeah, we were really aware of that he's, obviously he's special. And, as explained to me by officials of Jedi knowledge, there are different levels of Jedi. Like at one point, it was really funny, JJ was telling me this story, how he was once with George Lucas and they were talking about the whole history of the Force and the Jedi, and George said, yeah, Obi-Wan Kenobi, he wasn't strong with the Force. JJ was like, he wasn't? How could that be? So yes, but it did affect the editing because we were aware of that, and we were aware that we didn't want to give it all away straight away. So these two people were both very special.
It's clear J.J. Abrams, who personally chose John Boyega for the role of Finn, had big plans when it came to him and his character. I know there was a lack of plan in the sequel trilogy, but based on what people who are close to the film like Daisy Ridley have said, Abrams did have an outline of where he thought things should go, though that ultimately was not a decision he had the power to make. And let's not forget, when Disney first bought Lucasfilm, J.J. Abrams and George Lucas were originally supposed to work together on the sequel trilogy.
We've, got a plan for 7, 8, and 9, which is the end of the trilogy, and other films also.
So that was a lie.
So we have a large...
Yeah, that brings pain to my soul. Things for Finn fell short when The Last Jedi was made, and fans on a general scale were highly disappointed, including John Boyega himself. The potential for Finn was beyond what I could possibly write for a single video. After the start of the sequel trilogy was released, I and many others had such high hopes for where his character could go, or even where things should go. The idea of a former stormtrooper being guided in the Force to help recruit others to join the cause and overcome the tyranny that is the First Order, despite being taken into this from birth, would be one of the greatest stories in all of Star Wars. It hurts my brain thinking about what could have been. When it comes to The Rise of Skywalker, this has got to be one of the messiest, most rushed, and unfortunately meddled with films in a long time. It's such a shame that this is how the finale of the Skywalker saga was treated by Disney. The Rise of Skywalker finished filming on February 15th, 2019, and John Boyega was actually ecstatic for what the film was going to be. But then, starting in summer of 2019, with lots of creative differences emerging between Abrams, Lucasfilm, and Disney, the reshoots started to take place. These reshoots lasted until October 10th, 2019. Yes, you heard that right. 2 months before the film was set to release.
You should go back.
I should open the movie up again.
That's right, just do it. Just tell them you're changing all the
I'm gonna call Bob.
prints.
I need one more week of reshoots.
One more to do that.
The end result of all of this is an astronomical number of scenes completely redone and also deleted. We already have a handful of confirmed deleted scenes coming from different concept artists, actors, and others who worked on the film. I personally have spoken with some who actually worked on The Rise of Skywalker, and while I can't share these conversations, because they're private, all I'll say is it is an absolute disappointment on how much was removed and left unfinished due to the lack of time. Even Dominic Monaghan, who played a role in the resistance of the film, wants an extended cut released. He says, "Like a lot of Star Wars fans, I'm hoping there will be a director's cut so we'll get to see more and more of the stuff that was filmed. I wasn't there all the time, but even in the short time that I was there was so much stuff filmed that didn't make it to the theatrical version. Oh man, there was so much stuff." He also says, I remember texting J.J. Abrams at the end of certain shooting days and saying, oh my god, I can't wait to see that. Unfortunately, with the time constraints, they didn't make it or they changed things around. Now I'll throw out some scenes that are confirmed publicly. Now Kylo Ren on Mustafar originally was much longer, with Hux and Pride actually having a role within. The air battle of Exegol would have had so many more scenes in it had the VFX team not been crunched to death. An artist who worked on the film even said that they made the entire Bespin moment in one day, because that was all the time they had. Kylo Ren and Chewbacca had a scene together in a torture room. Yeah, I can understand why this was cut. Basically, my point is, there was a lot removed from episode 9, and there's many more scenes that were deleted than what I just talked about, and a lot more that I personally know about, but will not share for the sake of sanity and to keep objectivity in this video. But I can share a piece of Lando's theme that was cut.
Whoa, man. Let him go. That's against the rules. Let him go. That's against the rules.
Nope, never mind. I'm not gonna do that. But for the main topic of this video, I wanted to talk about Finn in The Rise of Skywalker. The Finn we got in the theatrical release of The Rise of Skywalker was not the Finn story John Boyega, J.J. Abrams, and Chris Terrio had written, and more than likely, even filmed. We have all the evidence we need to support this, and today I'm going to break it all down and bring the story together. To start, let's get one thing out of the way real quick. Finn in The Rise of Skywalker was mediocre. Compared to the co-lead he was in The Force Awakens, it's below subpar. But what was seen and what is actually two different things here. Here is Boyega himself explaining that he personally thanked JJ after reading the first script to The Rise of Skywalker.
When I read the script, I actually read it and I stopped, and then I went to have a conversation with JJ and I was like, thank you, man. Like, I've been waiting for this, so I can't wait for you guys to see what happens.
From here, as we go along in time, it is made very clear just how amped up and ecstatic John was for his role in the film. Many haters and even fans of The Last Jedi unanimously agreed that, for the most part, Finn was an overall letdown. Now John acknowledges this and fully agrees time and time again, but more so, at this time, hyped up that episode 9 would not be the case with this. Chris says on Twitter, hopefully my man John Boyega will truly shine in 9, and the Finn character will be shown as the badass hero I've been waiting for him to be since episode 7. And hopefully he'll wield a saber again. And John Boyega responds, we've got you in this one, bro. Trust me. Now keep in mind a very specific line here. Hopefully he'll wield a saber again, and then John's very optimistic response. Now this was tweeted in October of 2018, which means that they were in the principal photography stage of things. Lots would have been filmed by this point. The rough but full structure of the film would have pretty much existed. Moving forward a few months later to January of 2019, just under a year before the film is set to be released, Boyega posts this. He said, great working day on set. The whole team pushed themselves today to achieve something visually crazy. I've had many moments of shock on set, but not like today, and I can't wait until you know why. Hashtag FN2187.
But you can't do this to me.
So what would this scene have been? Well, I have reason to believe that this photo was shot during the filming of the Battle of Exegol, but not the one we saw. Again, The Rise of Skywalker went through many reshoots starting in summer of 2019, and again lasted until all the way of October 10th, 2019. The biggest question is how much was reshot? And we can't say for certain, but all I can say is a lot. You do not reshoot for that many months and it not have a significant impact and change on the final product. I know some of the major reshoots were critical towards Kylo. Pretty much all of Palpatine's scenes in the final battle were reshot, and everything about Luke Skywalker on Ahch-To was reshot. Yes, this is why he has a questionable wig. But alongside these reshoots, Finn and Finn's arc. You know how Finn had this awkward moment where he needed to tell Rey something, but then just didn't? Well, this was never supposed to be the case. John confirms in an interview that there was a scene removed of Finn opening up to Rey about his Force sensitivity.
The previous draft, it was actually a conversation between Rey and Finn. They actually talked it out. There was a scene where Rey already knew, like he had stopped her in the Falcon and was going to let her know that he had the Force. He had felt it ever since he left the First Order. Like that energy, that was the motivating factor, and he's known it for a very long time. And Rey, in that scene, Rey stopped him and said, Finn, I knew for a long time, like since the moment I met you, that you were strong with the Force. I knew there was something about you. Maybe that would be, I don't even know if that's in the, did we even film? Yeah, we did film that.
Oh, so did you guys shoot that?
Yeah, I think we did.
Why? Why would you do that?
What the hell is even that?
It makes no sense. But then again, that's what we have to deal with when discussing this film's production. Lots of things and decisions that make no sense.
Dude, what the heck?
The first time I heard about this, my mind was simply in shock. Why on earth would such a critical scene like this be removed? Sure, we got somewhat of a confirmation by him feeling Rey's death at the end.
I still only counts as one.
But how impactful of a scene would it have been to hear Finn finally talk about his awakening from episode 7? It would have given more clear depth to his story and actually have some nuanced connection within his journey across the 3 films. It would also help set up what's to come for Finn's story after episode 9, if anything is to ever come from that. And I strongly believe there was a significant amount of Force-sensitive Finn cut from this film. The reasons? Well, John Boyega himself said it, and some concept art. Who is this character? Clearly they are wielding a lightsaber. This has to be Finn. The concept artist himself unfortunately states that he is unable to confirm any name regarding this character, so clearly there's some sort of non-disclosure agreement secret going on. What this proves is, at some point, there was a sequence planned where a special lightsaber hero leads an assault on the Star Destroyers of Exegol. And who led this assault in the movie? It was Finn. So it is safe to say that this character has got to be Finn. Now we also have some storyboard for this scene as well. The biggest question is if this was filmed or not. We have no idea. Or do we?
How do you know?
A feeling.
Remember that post I just talked about? The one that was posted on January 15th, 2019? I strongly believe there's a connection between this photo John took after shooting and how much he hyped it up, and this concept art of him swinging on the rope invading the Final Order's main Star Destroyer base. Another fun connection is what lightsaber would Finn be using? And well, this is a stretch, but there's another concept art of Rey on Tatooine about to bury the sabers. But the lightsaber hilts are Anakin's and then Luke Skywalker's Return of the Jedi hilt. Perhaps Maz Kanata also had Luke's green saber and she gives it to Finn, once again saying a good story for another time. So we have the Force sensitivity scene, we have lots of intriguing concept art, and then we also have this comment by John Boyega on Instagram. Get ready. This comment was posted after the film was released, by the way. And Tony says, why were these shots cut from the film? Too much Force sensitivity? And all John Boyega had to say was, sigh. Now, his response may only be one word, but this word alone holds the weight of the Death Star with how significant of a meaning it has behind it. Clearly, just clearly, something for Finn being an active Force-sensitive user was cut out. Not just written, not just design and concept art, but filmed and eventually cut and, my guess, reshot. Everything with this lines up perfectly within the timeline. From the start of the first draft of the script to filming, John Boyega could not wait to show fans what was in store for the character of Finn. Even in October, a couple months before the film released, John was still hyping up what was in store for his character. He posted, "It's an instinct, a feeling," and comments saying, "My favorite part of the new Star Wars trailer. Wonder what that line was about." And this person comments, "I'm not a fan of 7 or 8, but I liked your character from the start. Really wish they develop it more and didn't completely waste him in 8. Boyega says, "I hear you. Give episode 9 a shot. I was really adamant on more Finn involvement. Hopefully you liked it."
What kind of nonsense is this?
I got your voucher. Out!
The filming and reshoots were over, and all the cast had to do was sit back and wait. And then, on December 2nd, 2019, John and the cast watched Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker for the first time. From all the hype that was built up, the excitement and love that came from Boyega to J.J. Abrams, and the rest of the team that worked on the film, I and many others had such high hopes for what was to come, and so did John. He saw the film, and his response:
what was your reaction to the end of the movie? But don't use words, okay? Ready?
How does it end?
3, 2, 1.
It's a lot to take in. There was a reason I was like excited about telling everybody about it going in. But now I've seen it and I'm coming out and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to keep my mouth shut because I just want the audience to see it. But we had an amazing time. This reaction brings pain to my soul. I am dead inside. John was clearly taken back by the theatrical release, as were the other cast members. Daisy really didn't even know which version of her lineage was going to be used. I honestly feel extremely bad for the cast members. They did nothing wrong. Boyega came out shortly after the film was released and became extremely vocal on his criticisms with Disney now that the trilogy was over, and specifically the way they handled his character. No, not J.J. Abrams, not even Kathleen Kennedy, but Disney. Let's not forget he replaced Finn with BB-8 on the China Force Awakens poster. He defends J.J. Abrams time and time again, saying things like, "Everybody needs to leave my boy alone. He wasn't even supposed to come back and try to save your shit." The scenes exist, they were filmed. They are somewhere in the Lucasfilm archives, or maybe even Bad Robot, which is J.J. Abrams' production studio. Will these scenes ever get released? I don't know. It would be a pretty bad look on Disney if they revealed an alternative cut or something like that to the Rise of Skywalker that was infinitely better than the theatrical release. And this goes beyond just Finn. Again, Mustafar, Luke and Leia. Actually, Luke and Leia at one point was the opening to the Rise of Skywalker pretty early on, back in January, I want to say. But I'm going to stop talking. I'm not going to say anything more about that. I mean, isn't it kind of funny and a little bit suspicious that this is the only film in the entire 9-episode saga that does not have a single deleted scene? An extended cut of The Rise of Skywalker is something that is needed, but I just don't think it's something Disney wants to mess with, especially with Bob Iger back. I personally am hoping that one day, maybe one of these scenes will leak with a large sum of concrete information and not crap coming from some random Star Wars YouTuber. And maybe, you know, that will light the spark that is needed to get this movie sort of redone. I don't know how to describe it. Again, I highly doubt something like this will happen, but I dream. Going from Dominic Monaghan's reaction for wanting an extended cut of the film released, to all the concept art, major reshoots, confirmed deleted scenes from actors and whatnot, and of course, Mr. Boyega's comments. The Finn we got in The Rise of Skywalker was a shallow glimpse for what originally was planned. Thank you for watching.